Everyone for joining. As I'd mentioned, excited to do another round of our Mighty Meetup. I'm John Pinkster, one of the lead engineers here at Maestro for building the Mighty product with all of you. We've also got several other Maestro team members here as well to kind of join the party, answer any questions that maybe you've got along the way. I am terrible at watching the chat as we walk through this thing, so I've got all my friends to help pick up anything that I'm missing. What we tend to do is walk through Mighty features or things happening in the Mighty land, Mighty space. We'll also do a community spotlight, and then we'll dive into some Q&A. And then just at the end, I'll spend some time kind of giving a high-level overview from a product demo perspective, just to give you guys a good feel for what Mighty does, especially for anyone who is interested in Mighty but has never tried it. So would love to see that in the chat as I kind of start going on to the agenda. If you've never used Mighty before but are super interested in it, I'd love to see a good number of people who are kind of in that camp. So to talk about Mighty agenda items, kind of in this Mighty feature space, what I want to do is I want to review the quick sort feature because I feel like it's one of those things that maybe is just there, but you may not be aware of it because it's so perfectly integrated into Articulate's world. And I think it could be a game changer for quite a bit of you. So that'll be fun. We'll walk through that. We'll also talk about our code catalog in the Maestro community space, giving a lot of awareness to just what that is and letting you guys know that that is an open space to post in. We've got localization stuff that I want to cover. Rise is just wrapped up actually probably less than an hour ago. Their localization webinar they just did. So we could also talk about that a little bit, as well as just wanted to give everyone an update about our upcoming meetups that we've got. So typically these are the fourth Tuesdays of every month. But as we start to get into fun summer activities, we are going to adjust those slightly. So we're adjusting them up a month. So in May, we're going to do May 13th instead of May 20th, because the May 20th date, we're actually going to be out at ATD ICE. So myself and several other Maestro/Mighty people will be out there. Excited to meet any of you all live who will be out there as well. We are booth 2025, easy to remember because it's this awesome year we're in right now. And we're going to do in real life IRL meetup for anyone interested. Details to come. If you're not in the Maestro community space, it'd be good to join there. I'm sure Sydney will just post a bunch of information as we get more on that.
Yep, we will. It'll probably be something like apps and drinks on Monday, May 19th, after the expo closes. So sometime around 4 p.m.
Nice. I think a person, maybe a couple of you live in the DC area but aren't attending ATD. No problem. Come out and meet up with us anyways. We'd love to see your faces. So then the last date that we've got an adjustment for is we're also going to shove the June date up a week as well, because we've got some fun, exciting announcement we want to talk about then, and the timing lines up better to do that May 17th. So, or sorry, June 17th. So get ready for that. There's a little teaser you're gonna have to live with for the next 2 months. So let's just talk about quick sort as I knock out some of these agenda items real quick. So the quick sort feature, in case if you have not discovered it, so as I'm in my course and I launch into a lesson, you're going to notice the lesson title show up top here. And right next to it is this drop down to be able to switch between lessons. But right next to that is this quick sort feature. So this quick sort feature, again, if you're unfamiliar with this honestly I've been using for like a multi-purpose. So as an example, in this lesson, I know that I need to go and jump real quick to the video that happens to be in here. So I now actually have started to leverage this quick sort as just like my like quick jump to of like, oh yeah, I need to get down to this video, replace the video, or do my mod or whatever. So all you have to do is just click on whatever block you want to jump to. But then you'll also notice, like as I scroll around in here, that the blocks behind me are highlighting. So you can actually just like use that to jump to figure out which block that you're looking to deal with. Now it's a quick sort feature. So really the intention here was that we have all these blocks. We've structured our Rise lesson, but we need to like move something around. Or let's say we wanted to like clone this column block here, and then we wanted to kind of like recreate this section. So like you would clone that, maybe clone both of these, maybe even clone your transition. And then you get the fun process of clicking down, waiting, scrolling back up, clicking down, and then you got to click it down one more time to get it past that transition. So like you've readjusted it. And thank God I only had to move it within 3 blocks. Because if I had to move it down to like the bottom of the lesson, I probably wouldn't do that. I would just create a block template, delete them, and then drop them back in with the block template, which I'm sure a lot of you have done. So that's really why we made this quick sort feature. So again, quick sort, as I scroll around, I can quickly find these blocks. So cool, I found these column blocks. You can literally just grab them. And let's say I wanted to just move them to the bottom. You just grab and drag down, and it just auto throws them down to the bottom or wherever you want in your lesson. So super powerful to be able to just quickly, as an author, adjust where blocks are at inside of your course. So I know it's very kind of hidden up here. Again, our intentionality is to really be as integrated as possible with Rise, which happens to maybe make it so some things blend too well. But again, always look for those mighty magenta colors, and that'll call out some of the fun, mighty features that we've got. So that is the quick sort feature. A lot of fun. Yep, seeing the question about being able to delete. That is something that we explored. It is possible that we go down that rabbit hole. One of the big concerns that we have is, as you know, the ability to delete blocks gives you also the ability to undo that action. We don't want you to lose that because sometimes someone could accidentally click that delete, and then how are you going to get them back? So we want to just figure out exactly the better way to do that. If we could like group those together somehow. So TBD, definitely an idea that we've explored. So, um, so that's the quick sort feature. Just wanted to quickly cover that again in case if anyone missed it. We also do have with our code catalog, I want to call this out. So again, if you're not in the Maestro community, Sid will drop a link so you can join that. This is just a really fun space for a lot of us to get together and share thoughts and ideas, talk about different feature requests that we want. And we've also been using it quite a bit over the last couple of months to like share custom code ideas. So I'll get a little bit into this demo or into the demo later, but we've got the ability with custom code to like modify all sorts of crazy fun things in your Rise course, as well as there's the HTML interactive block for Mighty, and you can like upload a zip of code. So a lot of people have been exploring fun ways to do that, and we've honestly been just sharing those in like chat threads in the Mighty user space. But then even myself would want to go try to find one that I've already shared, and it took forever. So we came up with this idea of this code catalog to really kind of share a lot of these like high level thoughts, ideas, customizations that you can do in Rise that's maybe not necessarily a Mighty block or mod today, but is like a really fun thing for a lot of you to explore. So again, just a recap of this. The other fun thing that we just adjusted this week is we made it open to anyone to post into. We do kind of have a little bit of like a process because I want to make sure that there's a good thumbnail card and some structure in here. But you'll notice Tim this morning, kind of our inaugural community poster, he posted that in here. And I know a lot of you have seen him in MC and just seen all the fun things that he's been able to share. And so this was a great one, great example of community contribution and getting those into the code catalog for you guys to be able to leverage. So just go ahead and post that to us. It'll be sent over basically to me. I'll review it, maybe append some things just to like set up some of the organizational structure and release it out for others to be able to take advantage of. So super excited to just get more thoughts from you guys and being able to kind of like share into this catalog here. The localization tool next I want to talk about with Articulate Rise is a really wild tool that they just released. It's a lot of fun. I've played with it. Honestly, could be a really game changer for many of you who are just trying to get your courses translated to all sorts of different languages. They are releasing a new product, and I don't know any insider scoop on any of this, but so I know as much as maybe some of you know. Really, it's just a new product add-on. It has a little bit of an extra dollar cost. None of that's been public yet at this point. You just have to reach out to sales and kind of get more information. But essentially, what this tool does, and Sydney will share a link to this as well, is it allows you to take your course in Rise or Storyline, and with the click of a button, choose a bunch of different languages that you want to translate your courses to, and it will auto translate those for you. It uses a service called DeepL, where it uses auto translations to translate your content, which I'm not going to put a stance on if that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's from a tech perspective, cool to see, especially kind of going through the process of getting courses translated in the past. And there's a really fun review workflow. So there's a link. We'll throw that out to you. You guys can certainly review it. Happy to chat more about my experiences with it. But I thought they did a really good job of building out this tool. Now, why am I bringing this up? The reason I'm bringing this up is because I am fully aware that right now Mighty does not work with this localization tool yet. So if you do want to explore it, and again, I would encourage you a lot to explore this, especially if you've got heavy translation needs, because it could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Um, that once you start to explore that and you're utilizing Mighty within your course, you're going to run into some issues. So I would certainly encourage you to start first with like a test course, build out some content, and kind of go through that workflow and see what that feels like. Make sure you have the Mighty extension just turned off while you're doing that. And you'll be able to see when it publishes to review what the whole like review interaction looks like and feels like. And just know that our team is scheming in the back, trying to figure out exactly how to get this tool to work long term. Because, like I said, I think they did a really good job here. Super powerful. I think a lot of you are going to want to take advantage of it. And we want to make sure that you can take advantage of that while also still utilizing Mighty. So, just going to leave that there. It's been fun to see a lot of chatter just on the general localization tool. Perfect. So that's meetup agenda topics that I really wanted to cover. I, at this point, just want to launch over into our community spotlight and let our team member Kendra actually share something that she's been working on for fun. Maybe some of you had seen a fun series that she had recently posted. Not going to steal too much of her thunder, but we wanted to bring her in to kind of showcase this live with you all. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Kendra, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And yeah, I just want to walk you through this Olipop course that I created over the past couple weeks. We did share a little snippet in our Learning Creators MC channel space, I should say. And it looked like people really enjoyed just the thought process behind it and just all the creative energy that went into this. So I kind of just want to walk through a bunch of things and share some tips, take any questions, just get some thoughts, whatever. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna start out by just why Olipop, like where'd this idea come from? So every time I'm in the store, I did say, if you watched my little recording videos, I did say like, anytime I'm in the store, I see this brand and these little cans on the shelf and I'm like, those are so beautiful. I wish I had designed that myself. And for me, having like a background in graphic design and just, I love visual design so much. And I want everything I make to just look so beautiful. So just being motivated by a brand like something like Olipop, like I can just design anything amazing, I feel like, when the foundation is already there. So we did have a poll in MC a couple months maybe back, just kind of asking what everyone was interested in seeing from us in the Learning Creators space. And like one cool piece of feedback was that people wanted to see like these website experiences and being applied to Rise and stuff. So that really did get our brains thinking like, ooh, should we try this? So Olipop was the natural brand that we went with, of course. And what you're looking at right now is the actual website. And so you can just see all these really fun elements about the brand. They have a great color palette. They have beautiful fonts. They have really dynamic imagery and videos and so many amazing products and things. So there is so much to play around with. But of course, with websites and things, they have a lot of unique layouts that, one, I didn't think were ever like possible in Rise. And then two, I like just never would have even thought to create that in Rise, because typically I'm just so used to the functionality in Rise that like I'm so boxed in already, and would never even think like, ooh, can I make this carousel? Can I make this split screen layout? Like in my mind, it's always just a no, I can't. No, I can't. And then with new Mighty features, of course, it opens some doors and things and gets me really excited. But then looking at something like this and just telling myself, I'm going to create that, like just opens so many doors. So I will just pop right into my course. And in my recordings, if you did watch it, I did emphasize like my course, the website, my course, the website, just to really show like how similar it feels. And every time I'm bouncing back between these windows, I forget which tab I'm even in, because they do really look so similar. And I'm just impressed. I mean, I'll brag a little bit. I'm impressed by myself and everything I was able to do, but it is definitely a credit to Mighty too. So yeah, I do want to just start off by talking. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat and see if there's anything that I can't answer as I'm going through all of this, but multitasking is not my specialty. So feel free to help me out, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to walk through some of the things that were my favorite pieces, or like the biggest wins I felt like that I got out of this design. So the first one is the split screen, where we do have this video and then text on the side. And this is a layout that I have been wanting to create or achieve, I feel like, for years, because it is a common thing that you see in websites. But in Rise, it's like, we don't have like this 2-column background color change option that we can do. So it's just like, there's no solution here. But I did notice, now that we have a bunch of new image and text settings in Rise, we can really adjust the column ratios and change out those backgrounds and change the full width and alignment and all of that. So I kind of adjusted those in a certain way. And then I realized that website did have this really cool video. So video is another thing that we don't have a lot of control over. So you can upload a video to the video block and that's it. But you can also convert a video to a GIF, and a GIF is just like a looping kind of video, the same thing. You just can't really tell it when to stop and play or whatever. So that worked perfectly for this instance. And if I go in here, you can just see that I did upload this as a GIF. And this was just something that I did with a free like video to GIF converter. Like I didn't have to have any kind of video editing skills for this. I could do it in like 5 seconds and it was just a breeze. And then that video fills up this entire space because I have those Mighty settings set up that way. And then I just color this, the blue background, format my text, and I have this cool, new, dynamic, amazing layout that I'd never been able to accomplish before. So there's that one. And then I also, of course, have things like really cool carousels too, where I think something I hear a lot from Rise users and people in our Maestro community is that just the components are feeling a little stale and stuff. And once you use one, it's like, okay, I've seen everything I can do with these. Like there isn't enough flexibility in what I can do here. But pulling inspiration like this, you see that the functionality still is like a carousel in Rise. It has those little arrows and you advance with images. So then I was like, maybe I can pull that off. And instead of, typically I would probably just have an image of one product at a time where I'm just showing one and it's like, okay. And it uses those same like square dimensions. And maybe there's a tiny caption in the bottom of the text or something, but trying to think of what are some more interesting layouts based on this website that I can use. And I have another example here. This one was my favorite, where I actually kind of dimmed these products over here so you knew more was coming, and it also allowed you to go backwards and kind of imply that, hey, you can use this left arrow and this right arrow, and it feels like a little bit of a different experience here. So that was really fun to play around with too. I did have to lean on my graphic design skills and use Figma to kind of create these cool images and stuff, but definitely a fun option there. And then anything happening in the chat? I just want to make sure I'm not totally leaving you guys out.
Yeah, there was a question, Kendra, to try to match Olipop's typography. How did you go about snagging that from them?
Yeah. So I looked up at their website and I was like, okay, so I know I love the fonts, but what are they? I actually did a Google search. Well, I tried to like look on their website, see if I could find any kind of like brand guidelines, anything, nothing was there. So I actually found like a Reddit thread where someone had already asked the question. So this worked in my favor really well. They're like, what are the Olipop fonts? I'm trying to make a course for school or something, just playing around. I was like, oh, kind of same, me too. So I was able to find this font as a like a free download. So I got that. And then this one, another person weighed in on that Reddit thread and was like, they use this font, but this is also a good free replacement or something. So I will admit this body font is not the exact brand font, but it is pretty close. So felt like it did the job. And I think this one is more of like an iconic brand font for them. So if I didn't have that heading font, it would feel kind of not aligned with the brand, but usually those like sans serif body fonts can usually look like each other and kind of disguise themselves pretty well. So yeah, that's how I did that.
Nice. Yeah, Zach dropped in the what font plugin.
Yes.
Work too.
Yeah, that's a good one. I know Zach does like to use that, so I should do that too. Keep me from going on a scavenger hunt. But yeah, so a couple other things I want to show. I wanted to highlight another kind of like carousel statement layout that I did as well. We just talked about the image carousel. But down here, there was a cool interaction on the website that felt also kind of like a carousel. They don't have those like navigational arrows on the sides, but every time you would click a logo, you could see a quote from the press like that they said about this product. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, of course, first in my mind, I was like, I can't do this. That's frustrating. Should I just skip it? But no, I was like, maybe there's something that I can do to get close here. So I did come up with, okay, I could do this fun layout just showing one statement. This is something I do in a lot of courses where I just want to call out like one statement, one important line of text. But I thought maybe I could use that image just on the image background, full with image, and that kind of changes this whole look instead of just doing like a solid color or something. And then all that text is still editable and stuff. But then I decided to level it up too and see what else I could do. And I decided to add some like images that have this text in it. So you can see it is an image. But if you advance with the arrows, it does call out those specific brands and quotes and gives them credit for whoever said that. And then I can show all four of those at the same time. So this was another Figma thing that I had to do. So the text is not editable, but it is on a transparent image. So that background does show through. And you're probably also maybe thinking like, why can't you just use the quote carousel for this one? And I did try that. I was like, ooh, how can I push the quote carousel block? Because that's one that I don't use really ever. I don't ever think to, because I always feel like I can't change it how I want to. So I did try that, but the only hang up on that one was you can't remove like this like bounding background box that they have on that block. So it kind of just lost the effect of that cool little like pop texture in the background. So that's what I went with that one. But I do also, if I've got the time, want to highlight something in this section. This is actually, it might seem simple, but this is my favorite section in the whole course, mainly because the imagery, I just love the packaging and the labeling on these cans. But I want to highlight like just efficiencies in design too, because while it's nice to have like really nice imagery and things that do take a lot of time and design effort, it's really nice to just be able to do things really quickly, but also still have that really nice design feel too. So this was just something when I saw this pop up in the website, I was like, oh, sigh of relief, I can do this in 5 seconds and it's still going to look so good. I didn't have to use any outside tools. It was all in Rise. I just saved this image from their website and actually just put it in as a spacer block and then uploaded that image right there as like the image background. And then I added in a Mighty transition. And I think the Mighty transition is probably the thing that I use more than anything. And I use this technique so much. So I just kind of want to just throw it together really quick if Rise wants to load for me. And you can just see if you put it in like as a spacer block or whatever kind of image background component, you can just toss in the transition and it instantly applies and gives you such like a fancy, refined design look without really having to put in much effort. So I do want to call that out too. Like not everything has to always be designed in Figma or in an Adobe product or anything like that. You don't have to be a super fancy graphic designer to get really cool, fancy looking results. So yeah, I could talk about this for hours, but I just want to be mindful of everybody's time and make sure I'm not taking up too much time. Are we still good on everything, or do we want to see a little bit more? I can.
Yeah, maybe show the flashcard one was fun.
Okay.
Show that off as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we can go over here back to the website. I always want to show like what it looked like in the original where I got my inspiration from. So they have this page. We just went over this section. And then it does go into this cool thing of all the different flavors. And so, of course, this was really exciting because I was like, cool, I get to make a bunch of images, my favorite. But then I also got a little defeated when I saw this cool like animation, all these photos and the descriptions. And I was like, oh, I can't do this either. What am I supposed to do? So I did think of, well, maybe I can just add in each flavor as a separate image. So I did create those all in Figma and then was able to stylize the text too, using that Mighty RTE, which was really helpful. But there isn't any kind of animation or interactivity or anything there. So I did think of like my level up option. Maybe I could make these flashcards. So in my videos, I did talk about like creating like practical applications. I like kept saying that over and over again, just to get that in my own head and in yours as well, just because while it is nice to make like just pretty things, we also do want these to be like things that we could realistically apply to our Rise courses for clients or whoever we work for and all of that, and like really help it be like a good learning experience too. So I thought adding some interactivity here would be great with flashcards, and then adding in the background image, even like the little rating stars and stuff. And then it does feel like something, okay, I can really dive in here and like kind of study these a little bit more rather than just having them as a beautiful reference of images. So yeah, again, this is like a lot of Figma work too. So of course, me being like graphic designer, Kendra, like I love any opportunity to just create a bunch of images that look really pretty, but it was a little time consuming too.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
And maybe as you're getting towards the end, if anyone has any questions on, yeah, Kendra's process, where she used certain things, or if you have any other questions generally, feel free to unmute and or drop a question in the chat.
Also, I put a question out there, but we're thinking about making this a series where Kendra tackles different brand websites and shares the process, because so many fun things come out of it, like you guys are seeing here today. So if you have any suggestions, we're going to take requests.
Yes, please. Yeah, you asked me that, Sydney, today pretty briefly, like, hey, what brand are you going to tackle next? Because I have said I want to do this again for sure. Because there's just so much value in it. And I was like, Poppy, as a joke, the other version of this like prebiotic soda that's also in like competition with Olipop, I guess. But I was like, no, I want to like, I think push myself in an entirely different way. Like, I know I could look at other food brands that I love or just anything, but I know I have my own personal styles. And I was like, how can I push myself, like design, like visual design too, and then also like the Rise design and all of the functionality and all of that, but like brand wise too, what can I do there? So, ooh, Apple's a good one. That would be like really clean and cool. I bet Zach, if you're listening,
These shoes.
that.
There's another one shared. I don't know how to pronounce that or what these shoes.
Ooh, oh, this one's cool. Okay.
have another question that came through, Kendra. What else do you use Figma for within Rise courses, icons, etc.?
Ooh, okay. Yes, I will use Figma for all kinds of things. Depending on like the brand that we're working for, sometimes I'll use it a lot, sometimes I'll use it a lot less. But yeah, I'll put in icons for sure. Do a lot of transitions if I'm doing something custom and not using like the Mighty transition block. Like sometimes, I don't know, it's a rare case. But if I really want to do something creative and fancy, I'll bring it in here. I also will do just like cropping photos sometimes. Like you can do that pretty well within Rise, but sometimes I want things just perfect and just right. So I do a lot of like creating frames in Figma, setting it to certain dimensions on the side, and then I know like, okay, this is the perfect flashcard size. So like you can even see here, like these are all the same dimensions, but then over here for the carousel, I have a different kind of shape over here. This carousel is even in a different shape over there. So yeah, a lot of image dimension stuff for sure.
I know another thing that I've heard our team mention before is the labeled graphic is tough to figure out exactly where on the axis you put the labeled icons. And I know
Yeah.
people have asked, like, hey, could Mighty just snap grid these for us, please? Which is not off the table. Potentially we add that. But what I've heard is we've also done it where we'll take the image that we want to use inside of our labeled graphic and quickly come into Figma and just put like a grid layout over top of the image. So that way we can ensure things are lined up where they're supposed to be, get it all up and running inside of Rise with the labeled graphic block, and then drop that layer off in Figma and then replace it with your actual like final image at the end. So like
Mhm.
utilizing it just to like set up your grid layout is kind of a fun way to use that, especially for the label graphic where it's really hard to like get them aligned with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I see the question about image resize. Good question. We have it sort of for like future blocks that we're building of Mighty blocks. But I could see your desire to really have that kind of function across all Rise blocks. And anytime you're like uploading an image, be able to open up some sort of like image cropper.
Mhm.
So TBD on that. You said ever, so I'll say sure, ever. We may someday do that. Good idea.
Okay, now everyone's gonna be really specific with how they word their questions for you.
Right.
It is possible to do, yeah. Um, you may have also noticed that as Kendra's been like highlighting text inside of Rise, her rich text editor looks different than yours. She's got a little bit of an inside track, obviously, on some new functionality that we're working on. I know I showed this quite a while ago. We are really working on getting a new rich text editor out there that feels more Mighty branded, that more aligns with where Articulate's gone with their rich text editor. So this is coming. There's a lot of little things that we're working through here. So if you've seen this before and you're tapping your foot wondering when it's coming, we don't want to release anything that steps back, several steps. And so we want to make sure that we got all the bugs worked out. And so really appreciate anyone who's been kind of getting sneak peek on this and reporting out any issues that this may introduce. But we are getting close to the end of finally getting this ready to get out the door. So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel so spoiled. I even told you the other day, like, I forgot I even had like this when you were looking for some feedback from me on it. And I was just like, I love it so much. That's my feedback. Like,
yeah, one of the things, and Kendra, can you launch the one of the color pickers, like maybe text color picker? So one of the fun things that a lot of you will get excited about is that recently used section, where as you choose colors for various things, we will track that and you'll be able to continue to leverage those as you're choosing colors throughout all sorts of areas. So that recently used one will be a game changer for a lot of you who are still either memorizing hex or really taking advantage of the eyedropper. Because obviously that will still exist, but once you really knock out a couple of your colors, that recently used one is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me for sure. Oh, I will say that.
Lots of love for the recently used in the chat. Hey Kendra, Jenny had one more question. She's wondering how you created the carousel image. Like, is the text embedded, and what size did you make the final image that you placed in Rise?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so if I zoom in here, this is the one we're talking about, right? So yeah, this is all editable text. This is just typed it in, pasted it in. These are little images that I just pulled from doing a quick Google image search of these logos. And then I was able to dim the ones down to like 35% that weren't being featured. And then you see change it as we advance through the images. But then, yeah, the sizing, there can be a little bit of flexibility definitely on the height when it comes to these types of blocks. But it looks like for this one, I just used like 1800 by like 900. We do have templates, and I think it looked like Sydney sent our Rise image dimension cheat sheet. So that is definitely a great resource to use as like, if you're just like, where do I begin? I don't even know like where to begin with the sizing. So that is super helpful. And then you can also like always adjust a little bit if something that we've suggested might not be working. But yeah, definitely a really good resource there. But yeah, you'll see these are probably different. Yeah, this one's more like 700 because I didn't want a lot of white space in the course. Like this should show like right here, I wanted these titles to really be linked to the imagery. But like if I used that 900 height dimension, like there would have been a big chunk of white space. So yeah, there's always some flexibility in there and just using it to your own, whatever you want.
Jenny, let us know if that's the one that you were thinking. I know you
Yeah.
just said, sorry, you meant the one with images, but.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I can talk a little bit more about the images because I know we talked about like text if that was embedded or anything. But yeah, for the dimensions, those are the sizes over here. But the cheat sheet will be really helpful. But when it comes to all like the graphics and stuff, I did just pull these. I was able to pull like these transparent images from the website and they copied over like in a good resolution. So I was really lucky there. Sometimes that's not always the case. And then everything else is just editable text. This was a fun little like masking little feature thing I did here where I could adjust all of these stars and just, could do this depending on how much everyone liked it. And then, yeah, like could change out these background colors really quickly. They're all separate elements. So that helped me like edit really quick. Yeah, there was a lot going on here for sure. Yeah. Anything else?
Cool. Well,
Just lots of
not,
love for it. That's all.
Okay.
yeah, if nothing else, appreciate Kendra, you jumping in and sharing off this course, this whole series really that you did. If anyone's interested in finding that, I don't know, Sid, if you want to drop in the link. We do have these up on our YouTube channel. There's a playlist on there that's specific for Olipop. And Kendra is really excited for us to give her more opportunity to find more brands. So maybe one of your brands you guys dropped will be our next one we attack. Um, Anyone else have any general questions that they've got in regards to Mighty functionality, um, direction of where we're heading, things like that, that you want to throw out there that we could try to help answer live before I get into a Q&A or a product demo?
Stuart, don't ever stop.
Perfect.
Did you see Jackie's note, Pinkster? She's just wondering what else is
Yep.
coming.
Yeah, upcoming next. So I've talked about this a little bit. Obviously, the rich text editor that you just saw there. The the thing that we've really been spending a lot of energy on over the last several weeks is probably many of you have felt some performance issues, to say the least, in the last couple of weeks. Um, we have also felt that, and we've been working really hard on kind of overhauling the way that Mighty works inside of Rise to get all of the Mighty functionality bolted in there. So it's really been kind of a tear it all down and rebuild back up based on some new methods that we found that's way faster in regards to getting Mighty working in Rise. So we are really kind of in that final stages of Q&A. Uh, uh, um, to be able to, or like the quality assurance side of things and really be able to like knock that out. And I have several of you that I've got emails for that I'm going to throw you out a test build and have you try that out and make sure there's no issues there. And then we'll get a new release out. So that's really been a lot of our energy spent just on the performance side of things because we really want to make it so with Mighty on or off, working in a Mighty course or not, that it really feels just as fast as Rise feels normally. I can't help how Rise maybe sometimes is just generally slow, but I don't want Mighty to be slower on top of that. If anything, I want it to be just as fast. So we are constantly working hard to make sure that, a lot of you with large courses, large lessons, that as soon as you go to click into the lesson, that it loads really, really quickly. So that's a huge focus of ours. We're super close on that one. Um, we are also working on a whole series of blocks um, that we've been building. Anything from like an image carousel block to we've been working on rebuilding a lot of the knowledge check blocks so that way you can support different types of functionalities. Like as an example, with the matching block, right now you can't use images in those, but we'd like to be able to use images or the sorting block. You could have like image on top, text on the bottom, or image on the bottom, text in the card, and like be able to sort those. So like just adding more functionality into the knowledge check blocks as well as a lot of you may have felt, and we felt this, that knowledge checks, they don't really report anything to SCORM. So if you're doing any sort of metrics based on how knowledge checks went versus how the final quiz went, you're kind of in the dark. And we want to fix that. So with our knowledge check blocks, we're going to introduce the ability to report all that information out to SCORM so you can run reports on those as well. Um, Trying to think of other things that we've got kind of in our back pocket ready to go. Um, but yeah, a lot of blocks that we want to build. Um, as I'd mentioned, the localization tool earlier, we're planning on getting in there, seeing what we can fix up there to get Mighty kind of pretty well integrated with all of the localization stuff that they're doing. And oh yeah, big one is reflection block. All of you seem to really, really love the reflection block and you want more functionality out of that. You want to be able to ask a reflection question in one lesson and then review what you had said in another lesson to then be able to like piggyback off of content maybe you've learned in between. So we've got plans for adding that functionality. I also have a whole fun thing that I want to show off, which really I should just make this YouTube video, but it's the ability to take all of your reflection questions and answers and push them into a form fillable PDF. So as you may be familiar right now, the PDF that we generate is pretty bare. It's really just kind of a white PDF with some basic text. You can't really do a lot of styling in there. And that's going to be more of just like our basic default PDF that it would come shipped with. But then we would allow you to upload a form fillable PDF, which would then automatically just push all of your answers into the slots in your form fillable PDF. And you'd be able to map which ones go where. And then you could totally create brandable reflection outputs that then the learner could take with them and use kind of maybe even as like a workbook after the fact. So we've already done that. We kind of did like a custom work for one of our clients, built that all out, and it was too good to not put into Mighty. And so we're also going to work on just getting that as a part of that reflection block. So the reflection block is going to get a lot of good overhaul. A lot of these features that many of you have been asking for. So super excited about that one. Just kind of reading through questions. Uh, how accessible will the new blocks be? Well, they should be accessible. All of the ones that we've got planned really have clear direction from an accessibility perspective. Really, the only one that's been hard for us to tackle is that reverse hotspot block because of really honestly the nature of that interaction. But the rest of them, we've got accessibility kind of in mind as building those out with the knowledge checks and the media accordions and being able to add alt text and things like that. So that should be in a good spot. The AI reflection feedback built into a self-paced course, I have not seen that, but that is cool.
I
Now,
snagged the link so we can check it out.
cool.
Get back to you, Lisa.
Sorry, I'm just reading the last comment there. Um, yeah. So like, I think what you're getting at is, yeah, like really our objective is to add a lot of the functionality and customizations that you get in the storyline world without you having to go and figure out the storyline beast. Because as we all know, storyline is a beast to go from nothing to a completed course, where a Rise course is very easy. You just drop in your blocks, and it really comes with a lot of baked in functionality that you don't have to work out. And so, uh, as many of you know the story, like really that's a huge reason why we had built Mighty is to just add more or less like a bridge to get you further to use Rise before having to make the leap over into storyline. Um, so so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Super excited and very excited this year to continue to see where all goes. Um, I know I don't have much time left to do a demo, so I'm gonna jump over and start the demo. Appreciate all of you joining. If you're not gonna stick around for the demo, just a reminder, back May 13th, doing the Mighty Meetup. I think Sydney, you wanted to mention too, if people have like the event already.
Yeah, so if you ended up signing up in MC for the Mighty Meetup events and you said like add to calendar, just wanted to note that your calendar event would be wrong now. So you just need to make sure that you adjust that since we're adjusting dates.
Yep.
Just a heads up.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm going to jump in and do a little bit more of a high level demo for anyone interested in sticking around for that. I'll probably just kind of breeze through it over the next 10 minutes. For everyone else, if you end up bailing, we'll see you May 13th or in real life when we're together the 19th. All right, perfect. So as we get into the demo, hopefully many of you already know this by now and have figured it out that Mighty is a Chrome extension that we at Maestro have built. And the Chrome extension really just adds a lot of functionality, as you're seeing here, into the Articulate Rise product. And anywhere you see this Mighty magenta color is most likely something that Mighty has added. So we've got all sorts of features and functionality. A lot of that can be found inside of our Help Center. So within our Help Center here, we've got, if you scroll down to these sections, we really break down kind of our categories of features. We've got our power-ups, our blocks, and our mods. And our power-ups are really like at a high level, just like general changes that you can make to your course. Anything from adding custom code, which is CSS or JavaScript to your course, to you can update your web publishing settings to make it so that you could hide the cover page, and you can also override the course title. Then you can get into blocks and be able to add new blocks to your course. And as you watched, you saw Kendra reveal this block library that we've got. And as I just mentioned, we'll have more to come. And there's reflection blocks, and we've got transitions that are super fun, and we've got a whole like unexplored world of interactive HTML blocks. And it's really you kind of build your own standalone interactives and upload them in, kind of like a storyline component, but to the whole HTML world. We also have reverse hotspot blocks. So I'll kind of walk through those here in a little bit. And then the last piece here is mods. So we've got a ton of mods that we've created across all existing Rise blocks. So this is, you just think about modifications to existing Rise features. And again, Kendra kind of showed off some of these, but where you get in and you've got the ability to like override your text. So be able to swap out with the existing header fonts that are just placed in random spots. Be able to have more control over those and choose whatever your body font is that you want to use and really kind of customize your course while still leveraging existing Rise blocks. So then you've got the ability, I mean, there's just tons of them. The ability to override the way that the note cards look or the way that the column spacing is. You can change up the way that embed blocks look. So all these like little features that maybe you would have normally expected to live either over in like the format menu or in the content menu that don't live there yet with Rise, but live there over here in the Mighty Mod. So I'll walk through a handful of those, but just want to mention here in the Help Center that we've got videos basically for all of these that walk through the functionality. And you can find all of our videos out on our YouTube channel. And we've got tons of YouTube videos that we make. We really try to push out a couple a week or at least a handful a month. Anything from how-to videos where it's just like exploration things that we're getting into to we've got our tutorial videos of each of our features. And we've got these Mighty Meetups that we post up there, which there's a lot of fun content throughout a lot of those. And then now we've got our Olipop series. So continuing to just add more and more playlists to this. Feel free to subscribe if you want to get those notifications. But we also do drop a lot of those into our Maestro community, which we also mentioned here. A lot of great topics go on across here. Anything from just like people sharing thoughts, fun ideas. So Jackie sharing out your fun confetti idea here, which was awesome. Can't wait to see that. And we've got people posting into the Designing Inarticulate Rise and just asking questions, just general questions, maybe not even Mighty related. Code catalog, all sorts of fun events, sharing resources. We do strategy chats and yeah, just a lot of fun things that you can find here in the Maestro community space. So that's all about like high level overview of like why we're here, what we're doing, where to find some resources. Back into Articulate Rise, the functionality that we've got here, as I walk through some of the quick sort, high level functionality, being able to jump back and forth between different lessons is super fun. This is where you'll find our power ups menu where you can add custom code, again, from code catalog. If you got any questions on code that you're writing, feel free to drop that in the Mighty User space. A lot of us will jump in and ask questions or answer those questions. And yeah, just kind of walking high level through this course. Let me create a new tab here because I want to show you a little bit of like a before and after. Let me go into the preview actually. So in this preview here, this is a before of our course. This will be an after. And you're going to just start to really get a feel for some of the functionality differences that we're able to do kind of just stock with Rise versus adding Mighty into the mix. So up here on the right, this will be our after example, and this will be our before example. So you'll notice, obviously, we kind of started out a little bit different once Mighty came into the space. And it's because we're able to add with these background images using the spacer block. And I know Kendra showed that off a little bit earlier. You create an image outside of Rise. You can upload that as a background image. And then you can use this fun transition block, which I'll show with some of the edit functionality there in a second, to really do some fun like image masking. And then you can get into all sorts of like fun typography changes. So you'll see here a lot larger text, different font chosen in different spaces. here is the quote block. And again, you can see we've modified the what was the header text, because typically you can only use header and body fonts. And so we swapped out this header font with our own custom font to give this kind of more life, match a little bit more closer to our body font there, which is ideally where I would have that. We can also change up some things on how we would have displayed some information. So in this example here, we've got 3 myths that we want to show. Not really a great way to show those. Maybe in like a 3-column layout you could, but you can also get really big with some of the typography. So you can change that and gives it kind of like a fun little breathable space here. Different ways to show similar content in different ways. As if you've probably used the notes block or the attachment block, these are Mighty mods that we've attached. So I kind of showed that mod library. So you can go through, replace icons, change out borders, and change out background colors, and really get notes to kind of feel more in line with the type of like announcement type thing you're doing in your course. So really fun to be able to modify that. If you're ever embedding anything like a website, you can totally condense those now by removing the open graph images that automatically get pulled in. Again, fun transitions, modifications to list block, and being able to give like custom colors and change to alphabetical or Roman numeral from the typical look that you've got over here, where it just pulls your course theme color. So lots of modifications there. You'll notice this video also auto-played. We've got autoplay functionality for video and audio if you want that functionality. So just kind of quickly going through, you can just totally see where a lot of like brandability, the life really can jump out at you when it comes to Mighty and that Mighty functionality. This reflection block, you've heard me probably mention it, maybe didn't know what it was. We've got an open reflection to be able to ask learners questions. They can enter whatever the response is. Those saved to the LMS. You can run reports on those. You can download the PDF. So all sorts of fun things that you can do here. New features to come. We're gonna skip that from a timing perspective. Here's another one of our Mighty blocks where it's like a reverse hotspot. So kind of like a label graphic, but instead it's an image and you've got a little hunt on the image where you want the learner to click. So in this situation, what makes a good collaborative environment? Well, a whiteboard, coffee, and snacks, of course. So just fun little interactions that you can add to your course. Change up with the button blocks. So all sorts of fun things that you can do. Again, we're short on time, gave a lot of love to the Olipop space and kind of asking Q&A. If you're interested in seeing more of the demo side of things, obviously in other meetups that we've done on our YouTube channel, you can certainly watch those. And we'll also be back for more meetups and we'll walk through new functionality. But high level, that's what Mighty does. Everything right here is all baked into the extension. And once you publish your course, everything will get packed inside your course. And the only people that need the extension are authors. So super fast. I'll give a brief moment if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, thank you. And again, we'll see all of you May 13th back for our next Mighty Meetup. And then June 17th will be our next virtual Mighty Meetup. Perfect.
I have a
Any last?
question.
Yeah.
Hi, I was replying to the chat. Can you show the reverse hotspot demo again real quick? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no
I
problem.
was bad at multitasking also.
Not a problem. Yeah, so the reverse hotspot is right here. And basically what it allows you to do is similar to label graphic, you upload an image and then you drop points on an image. But unlike the labeled graphic, we're not going to reveal those points. We're going to have them hidden and the learner has to have clickable zones that they've got to select kind of the area on the image that you want. So I've seen people use this as like custom software training of like, hey, where do you go to create a new ticket in our new ticketing system? It's like, here's an image of the screenshot, and then they've got to choose the right button, those types of things that you could leverage it for. but basically allows you to just like click anywhere on the image. It creates a hotspot. You can drag that around, move it to the location you want. I have seen someone request where you could like custom draw a hotspot. So like if I wanted to make a triangle, or if I wanted to make like a fun like carved out area, maybe those to come. But for now, yeah, you've got ovals and squares all the way down to circles that you can play and really kind of create your different hotspot clickable zones. You can give feedback for both successful as well as like hint messages. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, just a really fun interaction. It will also, in companion with like a continue button, require the learner to go and finish that interaction before it allows them to move on. So it also has a lot of that fun functionality as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for chiming in. Anyone else have any questions that I could walk through?
There was just a question, I think, about the hotspot or this block labeled graphic one, Pinkster, about accessibility.
Yeah, so this reverse hotspot with accessibility.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is the block that is hard to achieve with accessibility. Open to anyone's suggestions here. If you've got thoughts and ideas on how you could go about doing this, I think minimally we could probably add some alt text and maybe you put some screen reader instructions in there. But we've not been able to figure out a good alternative from a screen reader perspective on how to actually complete the interactive experience that your learners would go through. So it does not have a lot of accessibility built in. But again, I've certainly jumped on calls with a handful of people and tried to chat through ways to do it. We've talked about like putting instructions up here. You could also reveal some of like the code editor, like the HTML editor, and maybe create like a ARIA label on some things and like give instructions here that a screen reader would certainly read. Um, but yeah, if you've got thoughts, ideas on how to make it more accessible, we would love to. We just don't know how to. We don't have the right ideas yet. So appreciate any thoughts, ideas that anyone shares there.
I know we're pretty much past time, Pinkster, but if you want to go up to the three myths thing, Lisa wanted to see the big numerals, which I think are just made with the fonts.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We just basically selected a font and then made this 168 pixels large. So just made it really, really big font size.
Mhm.
So this is all done with text in your course. Obviously, all screen read friendly, accessible friendly, no images at all. So,
Before we had Mighty, that is how we did it, though. We used
yep.
images.
Yeah, or fall back on my before where it's just, well, we'll just use an accordion, I guess, and can't really show statistics or these big kind of jump out values at you.
So those are three text boxes then?
Yeah, so it's just using the columns block.
Oh, columns. Got it.
Yep. Yeah, so the columns block, three column block, and then getting fun and creative with the typography. So you'll notice there's
Yeah.
three different fonts that we use. I think it's three. It's possible that these two are actually the same font. But we've got the two different fonts that we're using, I'll just say, and then different font for more of our like sentence based. So you can mess with the different fonts, font families themselves, and then different varying sizes based on yeah, the hierarchy of where you want things to pop out at.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I know also people have asked, not to just keep this meeting going, but it's just too fun. I don't want to stop. People have also asked, like, well, if you go wild and you create 168 pixel text, works great on desktop. What are you going to do on mobile? That is a fun challenge that we are talking about as well, taking on getting into this concept of like text styles where you could actually just like highlight a piece of text and then in this rich text editor choosing a text style and it would auto apply more or less for anyone kind of on the dev side of things a CSS class and then you could even set up breakpoints for your CSS classes to then translate. So what that means is like when you're on a phone, it could be narrowed down from 168 pixels to 80 pixels. And then as you widen your screen or move from a phone to a tablet, you know, it adjusts its size automatically. So lots of options there that we could certainly introduce. And I honestly know some have already been doing it with Mighty, revealing the code view, adding classes to all sorts of elements inside of here. And then they go crazy and create in our power ups, this CSS section, they create a whole style sheet of different styles that they're applying. And so it will alleviate all of the need for that. But for now, certainly people can achieve it and have kind of showed off ways to do that. So,
One last question, Pinkster. I think below this in the now remember, is that the notes block?
yep, this is the notes block.
Nancy was wondering.
Yep, yep, that's the notes block. So here is what the notes block looks like without a Mighty mod. And all you can do to change that is change your background color. Like let's say I want my background color to be this color here. Then magically the notes block gets like a fun little different style to it. But you can't do that without changing the background color. And you certainly can't change the icon. So yeah, really just open up the Mighty Mods menu. You can override background color, add drop shadow, remove borders, change icons, change the placement of the icon, change the size. Like there's all sorts of fun things that uh, gives it a whole new look.
Mhm.
Cool. Anyone have anything else? Appreciate y'all sticking around.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Cool. Well, thanks again. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. And as mentioned, we will see you all May 13th.
Good. I think you've said it like 5 times. I mean, we got it now. Yay.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.